Steve, where did Noni originate?
It was very interesting. The ethnobotanists at the University of Hawaii did an all-day symposium many years ago, and they had studied it for about 4 or 5 years. They believe it either originated in northern Australia or Borneo, and then it spread out across the South Pacific, and you find it all across in tropical, subtropical climates, from India all the way to Africa and Central America. However, there are 6 different varieties of noni, and there's only one that's truly medicinal. It's the only variety that we have in Hawaii, because it was one of the canoe plants that the early Polynesians, when they started using noni, and they would get in canoes, there were about 15 different plants they took with them when they were migrating from island to island to start new cultures. Noni they took medicinally, they took their best. So when you go to Tahiti, Fiji, you actually have 6 different varieties. In Hawaii, we only have the medicinal variety because it was brought here by the early Polynesians, and that's how it got introduced.
Now, I think the Latin name is Citrus morindifolia, isn't it?
Correct. Morinda citrifolia is a botanical name, but there's many subspecies. It's from the Rubiaceae family, which is the coffee, gardenia, and that family. My partner, again, was an ethnobotanist, and so he was the one that was more versed in that than I am. I grow it and use it, but it's very, very healing. I used to do a lot of different fruit trees in California and stuff, and when I started growing noni, it's a joy to grow. I mean, from sea level to 2,000 feet, from no water to full water to shade to sun, it grows. Extremely hardy, very dark green leaves. And what we've learned over the years is how full sun it does better, and we mulch like crazy and keep the soil rich and moist around it. And we have some of the most healthy-looking trees anywhere, and we have thousands of them. And it's a real joy to work with them. And it's fun to pick, even. So we have a good time.
Well, we're planning to do a cover, by the way, in the Doctor's Prescription for Healthy Living, everyone, on Steve's amazing Noni farm on the Garden Isle of Kauai. Tell us a little bit about your farm, because when it comes to reducing our carbon footprint and kicking our oil habit, you are light years ahead of almost everybody.
Yeah, it's interesting. When everybody started getting into the green thing, I started wanting to put stuff on our package, green since 1972, We did. It's a way of life for us, in a way. We are which I guess you could call us a vegan, self-sustainable organic farm. Been organic, before certification ever came around. Even in California, our farm was organic. We don't use any animal products or byproducts, period. We grow our own pigeon peas and cow peas, which are very high in nitrogen. We make our own compost, and we use that integral in with what we grind up from our farm, from our own plants. And so we have windrows of compost that we make that's really potent, that we apply to the soil, that we mulch really heavily, but we also foliar spray on aerobic versus anaerobic, which has good pathogens. So over the years, we developed a process. I used to till, but for orchards, I'm very big into no-tilling. And I think in the last article you wrote, I mentioned about it. It's kind of like, there's a whole subculture and culture of bacteria in the soil, and when you go and turn it, plow it, or rototill it, you flip everything upside down and mix everything. We'll put things where they're not meant to be. They all have different zones they survive in. And so by mulching and not tilling, we notice it. Worms come immediately because now you create an environment for them in the mulch. And the healthy soil, they love it. They respond to how we treat the soil. There's no toxins in it. We don't use any animal manures in our compost because of what goes into a lot of the animals.
In other words, the antibiotics, the sulfa drugs, the hormones,
the different things that come out in their manure. And so when my son got involved in it a couple of years ago, he just said, flat out said, we had an advantage. We had an opportunity to get some horse manure from a neighbor, and he wouldn't use it. Because he knows, they deworm them, they do different things. And so we've stuck with that process and have totally noticed a difference. The other thing we do is vermiculture, composting worms. And we get a lot of garbage from different health food stores, and we have pits that we grow of, millions of worms. And we have, buckets full of worm castings that we add to our compost tea. And you spray it on the plants, and you see it in 24 hours, growth. It's really amazing. So it's a whole system of actually trying to duplicate what happens in nature in a forest, but trying to amend it to what we're trying to do, and also trying to expedite something that takes years and years to break down. We can do composting and get it done in 4 to 6 weeks to utilize it and feed things. So it's a little bit quicker process, but it's very healthy.